Hey everybody, Texas Trucker here, Lance's Performance Shop, Lone Star, Mopars.com. Sunday night here, trying to get some headway made, catch up on some loose ends. And we just took a look at some really cool Stahlwille stuff. I've got another video that we'll have slotted in between because this tool haul is also going to feature an awful lot of Stahlwille. Now, anytime you buy from KC Tool, if you are new here, you get a bit of thanks. And that is currently shipping as a number 2 bit. Again, anything at all, whether it's $5, $100, or $5,000, you get a bit of things. If you exceed $75 mark, you're going to get yourself some free freight. If you exceed $100 mark, you no longer receive the German tool sticker pack, but you will score yourself the mystery sticker. We've kind of covered these a little bit more in the recent ones. This order right here, we made that happen. We exceeded that mark, so we have ourselves a mystery sticker. There are 16 total to collect. They are a little bit larger, holographic, kind of a cool change of pace if you're like a veteran buyer. Each bag is going to have a sticker and a checklist. This is a checklist because it came first. Again, 4x4, kind of preview of what to look forward to. And what did we get this time? Oh, no way. This is perfect. This is totally perfect. The reason for that, as I mentioned a couple of videos ago, we finally opened up my Black Friday score with the Gedore dual drive metric T-handles that happened to fit in the VHA stand. Okay, and let me grab that 1 second. That's probably longer than 1 second, but right here, if you missed that video, sorry about the barcodes, it's not my choice. So the set came that way. This stand just sat up there on top of the Husky for years. I have the SAE VHAs in yellow, metric would have been red, and you know, I was thinking, man, the Stahlwilles and Gedores look so good in dual drive. Why don't they make them in SAE? They still don't, but they do make them in metric, and pulled the trigger on these. I got to play around with the 4mm for the bandsaw stop, and I said, if we could get a Gedore mystery sticker, it's going here, and that is the plan, so I'm thrilled about that. And now I've got to set these things down. My apologies there, the metric side of the Husky box has all the lights and stuff plugged into charge, and the SAE side, which I use more, doesn't have obstructions, so it's a little harder to get in and out of there, but that is awesome. This is probably the one I wanted to see the most just because I thought the blue and black would look really good in the holographic iteration. So that's going to sit right up there. Very proud of that one. So far, no duplicates. I'm sure it'll happen at some point. But right there, we've got Stahlwille. So cool stuff. And how are we going to follow that? What segue will we use? We're going to do the non-Stahlwille item here. This thing is something, again, completionist. You got to think of the completionist stuff I go for. And this is going to allow us to complete something kind of cool that I think will help a lot of people out. Plus, it's something that will be beneficial to me. It is from Halder, their part number 3804.040. And this is, I think, the most expensive one. It was, I want to say, north of 30 bucks. I didn't actually write prices down for some reason. It's a copper face or a Simplex 40. And this little guy right here has completed the entire set for us. And I'm going to be able to kind of showcase to you what is available. So, I'm thinking, how does this work? Does that nest in? I don't exactly know. We'll probably not spend a lot of time here because we're going to plan a video, but that is absolutely beautiful to look at the thing. What do we get benefit-wise here? Well, it'll plug and play with what we've got, which is a huge thing. The other deal, we get to experience it, see if we like it, if we want to have it dedicated. Again, why would you ever have this dedicated? Well, you can come in, I can wail away, you know, with this type of a thing against steel, and I don't have to worry about it. It also doesn't create sparks. That last thing, not creating sparks, might be more important to you than what I talked about on the steel. Depends what you're doing, what line of work you're in. But this was the expensive one. It was the one that eluded me. And we now have it here. It is ready to go to town. Super excited about that. Again, some point in distant future, maybe not too distant, depends how long these drag out, we'll have a very cool video all about what you see there. What do we want to do now? Again, this all ties in really well moving forward. I think what we have to do is go back in time. Okay, this was actually brought in on a Dark Gray Friday sale, and I don't think I showcased it because I wanted to save it for use here. Not necessarily this video, but the previous Stahlwille video. I didn't do that because at the time I didn't know I was going to wind up scoring these items. But the Fall 23 seasonal, we cashed in on a lot of this stuff. The wrench deals were fantastic. But number 2 right there, if you look at that, it is going to be a bare handle 3/8 drive ratchet for 85 bucks. So that's what we have here. It's a bare handled 3/8 drive ratchet that costs $85, which by the way is a fantastic price. We're going to come in here with our themed Stahlwille scissors. I think I mentioned to you, but they have, I think they changed this from green to red. I don't know if you can still get the green ones, which is kind of sad. I'm not going to lie, they were really cool and they just kind of differentiate themselves, right? Knipex red, VHA red, Stahlwille was green. I thought these were super cool. But anyway, you get a little bit of a ratchet breakdown here, which is kind of neat. I think we're actually going to spend some time on this. We'll have the time, I think, to spend on it. Lots of times, like when you tear something down, if something goes flying, you may not know what went flying. If you would have known something was going to go flying, you probably would have positioned the ratchet differently, had your hand in place, set it up with something over the top or to the sides, right? Yeah, it's nice to have the breakdown with you. That way you don't have to have a catalog or look it up. If you just remember, like, hey, where did I put that paperwork? Let me go check. So with frequent use, obviously, they're going to suggest that you oil it to prevent rust, wear and tear in frequent use. You can kind of see there. We should probably take a look at their lube at some point in time, but this shows you kind of how to take it apart. Again, the catch and what's kind of unique, you're like, I don't need help taking a ratchet apart. Well, check this out. You're like, yeah, the screws are on the back cover plate, moron. Yeah. These, and one of the things that would be desirable about these, again, particularly your line of work, if you're in aviation, this would be an approved ratchet. It doesn't have falling objects. There's nothing that can back out and fall with this outside of catastrophic failure. So there's no screws, nothing like that. This might be beneficial to you, right? I'm sure you can figure it out, but again, having the breakdown is nice. It's something you don't typically see. So, look, again, they're stressing to clean. I wish I could show employees that. There's the old stuff going in the trash can. There's your new rebuild kit. There's kind of how they want you to reassemble it, which again, might be beneficial to you, because truth be told, if you start tearing this thing apart, it might not go as well as you plan. And not that any one of us ever has something not go according to plan. But this guy right here, gotta say, it feels very good in hand. It's also weird seeing one without the comfort grip. Let's check this out. This is the real big deal to me. We did also buy the 1/4 inch on seasonal, gave that to my nephew. Again, green is his favorite color, particularly Stahlwille green over, say, the Sublime Tool Company green, right? You usually see. This, for me, is a curiosity experiment, right? This is a fan-frickin-tastic ratchet. This is my 3/8. It's essentially the same thing with a comfort grip. It's buttery smooth, really, really good. Okay, this is something that we got. This might actually have been the first Stahlwille. I can't really remember. It's 1/4 drive. It's bare handle. That was also a selling point. What was important to me, that 1/4 drive and the one that I actually use all the time, which is here. This kit used to always sit in the interior of the truck for the longest time. But this little guy, really, really nice. It and the 3/8 are so good. The 1/2 inch standard is not like them. It's always bothered me. I can't explain it. It is what it is, I suppose. But I wanted to know, is this 3/8 mechanism going to be as good as that 3/8 mechanism? Is it just my 1/2 inch standard that's an outlier? That's what I'm leaning towards. Let's find out. This is good. This is what I expect from Stahlwille. Yeah, so that's going to be a win. Again, there's no real reason. That's like different plans, or maybe you had the comfort grip and you find you hate them, or whatever chemicals you're always on your hand or chewing it up. You're like, I wish I would have gotten bare metal. I've gotten to where I typically prefer that. I will tell you, my favorite bare metal handled 3/8 ratchet, which now this can compete for, was the SK LP90. That one is really, really well done. The ratchet mechanism also extremely good on it. Again, that's old school SK, pre-sale to Great Star. Haven't messed with their new stuff. Don't know if it's just as good, worse, outsourced. I don't know, don't care. I just know the one I've got is phenomenal. This will now fall into that category of competing, but same overall length. The cool thing for you, you can see these side by side. Some of you might be like, oh, that's well worth the upgrade there. Some of you, if you saw this was $85 on the seasonal, you have it and you could care less about that one unless you wind up loving this and eventually wear it out or want to add another one. It's just kind of a win. So for me, it was really part curiosity, part if it's really as good as this one, it's a fantastic ratchet. And then also we had this guy. I don't know that I'll do the 1/2 inch bare handle. I say that, maybe if it comes up on a good enough deal, we'll bring it in. But yeah, very, very excited to add that one to the mix. Now, coming in, I think what we're going to do is jump in right here. This is from a previous order, and this was the one I couldn't showcase really because everything else was like for my mom's birthday, and you're like, what did you get your mom? KC tool. It's the Berger stuff, right? Gardening tools. Yeah, I remember that one. So this was the one item we didn't showcase there. I think it might have been, it was either tool of the day or clearance, but for $60, which I thought was a pretty good deal, we got Stahlwille's 403. If you want the long part number, it would be 1106 1010 when it finally comes into focus for you. And what is it, you ask? It's this. It's a quarter drive breaker bar. I will admit, quarter drive breaker bar, probably the least used breaker bar that I would make use of, but there are times it's nice, particularly trying to save like a high performance ratchet, you know, from something that's like seized. And I say seized, and you think like, what are you really going to do with quarter drive? Well, you got to think of the obvious, where if you can put a 1/2 or 9/16 socket on here, that'd be 13 or 14 millimeter for you metric people. It could just be the slimmer profile. Maybe the 3/8 doesn't fit. Maybe it's a weird valve cover deal. Maybe you've shoehorned like a 360 into an 88, Daytona or something. And this is right up against the firewall. The 3/8 profile is not happening. This gets back there. You're home free. Typically when I was using stuff like this, because I do have an old school quarter breaker bar, front ends of Chryslers, and I'm talking like the grill assembly, plastic, dainty, frail, don't want to break it. There is a lot of that stuff that is either seized and rusted together. I'm talking like the fastener, encasing the plastic is just mated together, bonded for seemingly life. That type of a thing that you don't want to risk your ratchet on, or you might need the length of this to kind of come in as a spinner, and maybe on the back side is where you're able to put a wrench and try to apply torque. Little things like that. But if I had to give you personal advice on a buying strategy, I would get a 1/2 inch breaker bar, I would get a 3/8 inch breaker bar, and I might still wait to get a 1/4 inch breaker bar until you're like, you know what, if I had a 1/4 inch breaker bar, that would have been nice, because you're just not going to use it as often. I say that for like an average application across the board. Some of you, depends exactly what you're doing, this might be your most used breaker bar, or it might have the length, or if you think, hey, if Stahlwille would make this with like double the length or 75% more, oh, the things I could do. Well, that's going to be, again, kind of hinging upon you and your application. And speaking of hinging, this one is also insanely tight. I barely could get it to bend back there. I think it'll get better over time. We may ballastal this thing. Spoiler alert or pro tip, if you take a deep quarter drive socket like a 9/16 here, something comfortable, it's way easier to bend this thing because you get more leverage as well. Once I just wanted to share that. That said, to give you a comparison here, if you step up to the 3/8, which again to me kind of the Goldilocks size. This one is old, this one is used more, this one is broken for that very reason. So there they are side by side. I want to give you a rough look at the length on this thing. With the anvil straightforward, again, think of like spinning mode, you'd be looking at 6 inches. If we come down just with the yoke, about 5 3/4. Just the exposed handle, you're looking at like 2 3/4. The handle itself, you're looking at 2 1/4. That's a rough, very crude breakdown for you. Again, it's not ideal. I would like that to come up, be a little bit more bulbous, but it's actually pretty good. And again, I think my other ones are all bare handled anyway, so I can't complain too much. But you're not going to hopefully have to ever apply too much torque with this, but it is something, even if it's not used as a breaker bar, just to run something in, it would be really, really handy to have. So comparison wise, there it is versus our standard ratchet. And if I turn around, pop this back out, you can kind of see, just like we saw with our 1/2 inch drive stuff not too long ago, exact same handle. So really nice to have that. Why? For the reasons I mentioned, and it pairs with this, it pairs with a 1/2, and yes, that means we have the Holy Trinity on Stahlwille breaker bars. We have completed the set. Took a long time, a lot of waiting, a lot of patience, a lot of deal hunting, a lot of sales. But good things happen when? Over time. That's right. So, you think, hey, this is cool stuff. It's nice seeing all these sets come to fruition. Well, you know, just for your eye candy over here, let's grab this guy. And it's not going to fit great in the frame there, but you get the idea. It's complete. It's a proud moment for loyal viewers of the channel, hopefully. But we are not done, not at all. We have something that we added in here on my most recent order, actually, that came with that guy. And again, it just paired really well here, I thought. It is Stahlwille's part number 416 QR. Like I said, my apologies. I didn't actually type the prices out there, so just once again remind you, I do timestamps and links where I indicate the price as of recording, and I always try to go with like the MSRP. So if I got some stupid good deal, I don't want people to be like disappointed if they just go straight there and click type of a thing. But I'm excited about this one, and for the same reason, kind of curiosity and completionist. You can see there, you're thinking like, oh, a ratchet. Some of you might have seen too much. We'll have to dig it out. You think like, hey, that looks like the 1/4 inch stuff there. Oh, yep, same length and everything. Oh, you got a longer one. This is like, wow, hey, cross the breaker bar with that. Cool, show us. Some of you now know, if you're familiar with Stahlwille's setup, it is a locking flex head. I still await the day that Hazette's HP90 line includes. In fact, I'm hoping this weekend. I talked to Colin about it in an email. I'm like, man, I hope they come out with that. I'll also settle right now a Hazette, put a 3/8 drive body, 3/8 anvil in the 1/4 drive body. They've done that with the 3/8 and the 1/2 inch, kind of type opposite of how most people go. So it's logical progression there. But I would love to see them come out with that. As it stands right now, Gedore has that very unique design. Stahlwille's is very akin to kind of the old snap-on with the slide handle. People typically hate those. It slides over. Matco, again, you know how I feel about their locking flex head. I can't get it to do what it's supposed to do, so it's rendered pointless to me. But this guy right here, I think, could be very useful for people. So let's check it out. The big thing, will it be a great mechanism like these two? Yes. The answer is yes. Again, so that means out of every Stahlwille ratchet we own, the big outlier is going to be that 1/2 inch drive standard from the Christmas set. Again, right here, one of the big things for me with a locking flex head, yes, in certain applications this might be highly beneficial to you, but the big thing is so many times, especially with my Kokins, this is kind of, you know, as they break in and get worn down, the joint, that's what I'm implying there, getting worn down, they just become loose and floppy, right? Not that that's a huge deal, that's why it's a flex head, but If I could just lock it in the standard position, okay, like I'm fine if I'm over here doing something at a weird angle, that makes sense to me, you know, I'm usually upside down with them, but it's workable there, you can kind of control it with a handle, but if I could just have it lock in the 180 parallel to the ground position, it would be fantastic. That said, this thing does feel, it's really light. The reviews on these, I'm not going to lie, they have been negative. People say, you know, like, especially on, I think the quarter has been bought more than the others. It's usually the gateway drug. People step up. You don't rarely start with a 1/2-inch locking flex head, right? You'd start here. But they say the buttons pop out. I have not experienced that. The 3/8 I have had by far the longest. It's the most used. 1/2-inch locking flex, we have not had that long. It's been fine the times I've used it, but you basically have your different positions. This is going to be lock 1. That's going to be lock 2. Lock 3, spoiler alert, it's going to be straight up and down. There does seem to be a bit more play there than I remember in the others. Then you're going to have, again, same thing, the other directions. And if you need to, you can kind of have it like this, but just be warned, if you ever tilt back, it's going to lock. So you don't have like the 6th position, if you will. That said, again, we'll go into greater detail with these. Why? Because if I come in here, I can take this guy, which again, this mechanism is better than the standard handled one. 1 second, and then we've got the 3/8. So this literally, we're making headway eventually. I know a lot of people, and they're like, hey, I'm going to upgrade my tools. You know, I'm sick of this junk, or, you know, I think I'd like to get something better. There are a whole lot of people, especially a whole lot of people on YouTube, and they go all in, all at once. I am not that guy. I do not know. I should have brought water out here, my apologies. Well, the cinnamon mint was probably a bad idea, but I'm somebody, I don't want to go all in because I don't know if I'm going to like what I think I'm going to like. I need to get it and try it, and I don't want to try like the entire set because I might not like it. You know, over time with these German tools, I've kind of like figured out like, hey, you know, I really like this, or, oh, you know, I don't know about that one. This might be hit and miss, or like, hey, everything seems really good except for that. Stahlwille, obviously, with their ratchets and drive tools, is something I like. That's why you see what you see here in front of you. In this video, we've completed the breaker bar set, and we have completed the locking flex head set, and I'm thrilled about that. I'm excited to use them. I think I might actually use this quite a bit, in part because of the longer length. That's one of my complaints on those. I do wish the handle was bigger, yes, but we shall see. We do have some Stahlwille metrics. We don't have any SAEs, but we do have the metrics from the kit that this one came out of. And yeah, I'm pretty happy, pretty excited, not gonna lie. And, once again, I apologize on the prices. I know that was like 33-ish. This was 112. Don't hold me to that. Somewhere I feel like it was probably in that range. It's a pretty recent purchase, but I will have it down below for you. That said, what I want to know from you, number one, do you use 1/4-inch breaker bars? If so, on what? Is it used more as like a drive tool? Again, Stahlwille makes an excellent drive tool. You can get it standard or locking. I prefer the locking. It's a really, really good, basically create your own nut driver set, if you will. And it's also affordable. That's a great entry-level point to not only Stahlwille, but also their 3K screwdriver handles, because it's kind of more akin to that. If you don't use the 1/4 drive breaker bar, do you use 1/4 drive locking flex heads? What brand? How do you like them? Is it an anomaly? Is it, you know, like, well, Matco makes this length that I really like, but typically I'd buy this, or hey, I've never used those, or hey, you know, like I picked one of these up and I saw those reviews and I was kind of worried about them, but I haven't had issues. Similarly, if you saw the reviews but you picked one of these up and you're like, I've had the exact same things happen, you must not be using yours as often, or maybe we all had lemons. I don't know. The thing with reviews you have to keep in mind, if I have a bad experience, right? Like if I come in and my only Stahlwille ratchet was this one, I'd be like, whoa. You know, like, I think I'm going to stick with like Gedore. And this isn't terrible, but compared to everything else you see here, this is like bad, and it makes no sense because it's a good company. And this hasn't failed. Again, it's not as good, and it's strange to me. It's almost like it was just reskinned, or something along those lines. But if this was my first thing, I'd be like, ugh, I don't really like that, and I might come in and write the review like, man, I picked up 3 different ratchets. I had a quarter drive Gedore, a 3/8 Hazette, and 1/2-inch Stahlwille, and man, I would buy Gedore Hazette in a heartbeat before I'd buy this. If I would have come in and I would have gotten the 3/8 Stahlwille, I'm like, well, this is a fantastic ratchet. But also, if that's a fantastic ratchet, I'm not as likely to write a review about how well I like that one, or it's become my 3rd favorite ratchet of all time, etc. If that or this is your least favorite ratchet of all time, or you spent the most money on this and you have stuff from Harbor Freight you like better, then you are more inclined to write a review because you feel like you've been screwed, right? This right here, again, maybe I need to make a point to use those exclusively, flexing, non-flexing, all applications, and try to get more mileage on them. But this has been with me the longest, and I don't have any issues or complaints with it. There's a big difference with this being here versus at work, because I don't get to come out here every night. I sometimes don't even get every weekend. But at work, I've got, 10 to 12 hours plus where that thing's going to have to work. So it could just be that simple. Again, some people, a flex head is used all the time. I'm someone, I typically, if I have a choice, I'm going to go with that. I want a standard, fixed, non-flex, non-locking flex. Let me go to town. I also then prefer rotos. I'm a roto person. Then this right here, yes, there are points where they're hugely beneficial, but I'm still going to gravitate 1, 2 roto, and then 3 flex head of any kind. Even with the Kokens, I have myself use those all the time. I kind of come to the conclusion, I'm like, man, I really wish these would lock. Like with them, it's not that I want to lock it in a weird position for spark plugs or strange access points. It's I wish I could just keep it firm, right? I want this on the Koken, which just flexes up and down constantly, to just be able to stop in the middle and be fixed. Like whatever I do, whatever direction I go, the weird things that happen, it just stays 180. That is a selling point. But let me know, because again, that's really, I've had many of you share the same sentiments I have with that 1/2 inch, especially if you have quarter or 3/8, you'll say the same thing. These are phenomenal, really good, and then that's just kind of like, ugh, what happened? With this, like I said, the reviews, which there are very few of, that could be in part not many people buy them, or it could be that those people bought these and there's 10 times as many that picked them up and love these or have had no issues. It's just kind of hard to gauge that. I don't know the sales data. If KC Tool has shipped 1,000 of those over the last 5 years and they have 3 negative reviews, that's pretty good if 997 people aren't coming in. At the same time, you don't have the guy coming in out of that 997 that says, this is the best purchase I've ever made, 0 issues, these other people got lemons or are crazy. It's really hard to tell. One of the nice things about Harbor Freight is when you see the reviews and you've got like 5-star, 4-star, and then nothing, 3, 2's barely negligible, and then 1 is like way over here, you're like, huh. Are these like first impressions, and then this is after they've used it for a week? Was this like a time specific thing, or all these 1 stars from like 2018 when there's a bad batch? You get to kind of demise that if you spend the time. With that, there's just too little of a field to make an accurate assessment. But I can tell you, again, with my use, this is obviously brand new. This one has not been used much. This has been used quite a bit, at least by Weekend Warrior DIY, my limited time in the shop standards. No issues. Maybe, like I said, since we have the set, I think I'm really going to use that one a lot, so maybe I'll try to make that a point. But yeah, your opinions, your feedback on any of this, particularly those if you are a heavy user, please share that, because it is good information for people to have. That said, I'm thrilled with the completionist side of things finally coming together here. Again, good things happen over time. But I had a great time out here. I hope you did too. LoneStarMopars.com is the website. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all three at Lone Star Mopars. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like. If you like multiple videos, I encourage you to subscribe. If you do that, you jump your Charger across the creek, you wield your quarter drive Stahlwille locking flex head, readjust the CB mount all while in air before you land the jump. YouTube just might notify you. We got new videos every Wednesday and Saturday, 9 a.m. Texas time. With that said, I hope you have yourself a fantastic weekend. Most importantly, I hope I catch you back here for more action from the shop.